Okay, we're back this week. It's been 1 week since we put our eggs in the incubator, and we're going to do what we call candling. And we have a little device here that's a bright light. Not going to shine it in, the light of the camera there. But we'll turn off all the lights in here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the bottom of the egg and seeing if we can see some veining, what we call veining. And veining is like on our body. See how we have veins? Sometimes you can see them better on my wrist. We have blue veins. If you look, you have veins too. And we're going to be looking for some veins inside the egg, and they'll be kind of a reddish color. It'll only be on one half of the egg, but when we do that, that will tell us that there's some progression of the chick, and that's what we're hoping for, is that we have got 12 eggs, if we're lucky. 12 eggs would be great. I've already washed my hands with soap and water, and we're going to go right to the eggs. The first egg I'm going to give you a little bit more time on, and then we're going to do it kind of quick because we don't want the eggs to get too cold, okay? So I'm going to turn off the light, so it's going to get dark, but the only thing you're going to be seeing is the light one that comes on the egg. So now you might just hear my voice a little bit. And I'm going to turn the light on. We're going to take our turner off. And I'm going to start with egg A. Okay? We'll see what we can see. Now these are brown eggs. And what we want to see is right there where it's really light. That is the air cell that they're going to get their breath of air. And I'm kind of looking around to see if I see any movement, because I'm not seeing a lot of veining because of the dark color of the egg. But there is one side that looks like it's not veined, and one side that looks like it's veined. You can kind of see where it's a line there. So I'm trying to see if I can see a chick in there. Sometimes we see the eye. And that's kind of the hard part about brown eggs. So give me a minute here. See if we see something. I'm thinking can't tell much on A, so we're going to go on to B. We're not going to do anything with A right now. We're going to go to B. Oh, there we go. So see what I'm looking at right here? It might be a little hard for you guys to see it, but there's some veins in the egg. We're going to roll it this way a little bit. And we should be seeing a chick in there. See if we can find an eyeball. The eyeball is the most prominent part. See, kind of a dark shadow there. Might be him. Of course, we don't know if they're girls or boys, so I might call them hims a lot. But there's kind of a big blob that's moving around in there. This may be a thing that we look at them today and then we go ahead and look at them again another day. If I do that, we'll videotape it too. I see some veining. I'm just not finding the chicks as well as I usually do. Oops, sorry about that flash in the light. But I do see some veining. And there's something right there, but I can't tell if it's moving. Sorry about flashing that. We'll just keep going here and we'll find what we can find out. There's veining on this one. Let's see if we can find the chick. I at least want you to see one good chick in here. Sorry about that. That might be him moving around in there. That's definitely the difference between white eggs and the darker eggs. They're a little bit harder to see, but okay. We're going to rattle through the rest of them pretty quick and see what we can find. If I find one that looks like it's got a lot of something in it, we'll show you exactly what we're looking at. That's what it should be right there. Sorry about that. She's trying to avoid the bright light in your eyes. So far we're seeing veining on them, but I'm just not finding the eyeball that I usually look for. That one might not be a good egg. We'll have to see. This is G that we're on now. We'll keep looking. Make sure you remember G. Right there's the dark spot. Let's see if it's gonna move on us. There's some veining right there. I'm gonna have to get this beginning next week. Here's that really big egg that we were worried about. Yeah, it's not showing a lot of stuff. That would be what we're looking for right there if it moves. Right where my thumb's coming up to. So we're gonna keep looking. Yeah, see veining. Little veins in there like we're supposed to see. These chicks are not too irritated with me. That's J. Got two more to look at. What I might have to do is look another day and then let you know which ones I think are progressing. Most of them look like they have veining. And sometimes we just don't get any luck, but we'll see. They at least progressed a little bit. There's some veining. You can see the dark shadows in there. That might be a chick. That should be L. Okay. Those are our eggs. I'm going to turn the light back on so I can put everything back together. Sorry those weren't as definite, but we will look at them. I will look at them at the beginning of next week and we'll decide where we're at, and I will let you know what's going on there. Put everything back together, the turner and everything on. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is a science experiment. This is something you can do at home with your parents' permission, because it's pretty much something easy that you have around your house. And it's going to show you, hopefully, something that I told you last week you can't see very well when we're cracking an egg and looking at stuff. I said we have eggshell, that's real obvious. And I said we have something called the shell membrane. And that's the one that's kind of hard to see sometimes. But what I did was yesterday morning, I put an egg in just household vinegar. And if you can look at this, this is kind of a good one to look at, because right here is the rest of the shell. It's dissolving off the egg. See how it wipes away? It leaves white stuff on my finger. That's the shell. So what the next layer in there is, that's the shell membrane. And if you look at it, it makes it a squishy egg. And so vinegar is what we call an acid. See how it's eating all that eggshell off? And it's because that eggshell, remember we talked about having pores in the eggshell and in the shell membrane? That lets that stuff get in there, the acid get in there, and it eats that shell off. So then you just have the shell membrane. And the interesting thing about it is, if you take an egg, these two eggs were in the same box. This one's smaller than this one now because it's let the vinegar inside the shell. And so it's not only made it squishy, but it's made it bigger than the first egg. And if you leave it in the vinegar longer, it'll keep absorbing some of that vinegar in there. So, you know, if we have eggs like this, we're not going to cook those later because they are going to be nasty. They've been sitting in a vinegar mixture. But what I tell some kids, you know, we talk about the fact that pretty soon you're going to be at the right age where you can do what we call science fair. And the thing that's important about doing this, number one, it's kind of neat to see the shell membrane and to have a squishy egg. But it also, you can be a scientist by doing this. If your parents let you, you can pull out some different liquids in your house that actually have acid in it. So vinegar has an acid in it. Things like milk has acid in it. Orange juice, lime juice, lemon juice, all those have acid in it. Those would be called citric acid. And they're at different degrees. Coke, pop, any of the pops, Pepsi and Coke, would have acid in them. And so what you might do as a science experiment, because acid can be bad on our teeth, and for a science experiment, you can kind of check and see which liquids have more acid in them and would be bad for your teeth possibly. So what I tell kids is you can take one egg and put it in a container of water. And then you can put an egg in vinegar, maybe an egg in orange juice, maybe an egg in a diet pop and in a regular pop. And then you can watch over a period of a day or two and see which one the shell gets eaten off of the quickest. That would tell you that that product that you have in there probably has the most acid in it if it eats the shell off quicker than the other ones. And then that would make you know that, let's say the pop is the one that makes the shell eat off quicker. Well, then you would want to brush your teeth after that. If you have a pop, then you would go in and brush your teeth because you wouldn't want that to stay on your teeth, an acid to stay on your teeth. And it's the same way with any of the other products. Water is probably going to be pretty much of a base where it's not going to do anything to the egg. But any of the acids, you can just kind of test. And so that might be a science fair experiment when you're a little bit older and you're doing that. Of course, that's all with your parents' permission. I would always suggest that if you're going to do it, that you put it in a garage, not, maybe someplace not too hot, not too cold, but also someplace where your parents don't care if it's a little messy, if something would happen. I've never left the eggs in very long, but some kids have asked me, if I leave it in really long, will it explode? I don't know that. So just to err on the side of caution, we would do it in an area where our parents wouldn't mind. But always with your parents' permission. Maybe it's something that next year when you get back to school, that might be an experiment that you do in your classroom. But just a suggestion on something so that you can see what the next layer of the shell looks like. So we looked through the eggs. They all looked like they had some kind of veining in them. I did not see a chick eye like I'm used to seeing, and I did not see movement in them. So I'm going to give them a couple more days, and then I'm going to look at them myself, and then I will put that out there as to which eggs we think are good. So today is the 24th, so you can put that down as your candling, although you won't see it until next week. Today, the day that we candled, was the 24th. So you guys have a good weekend. Well, you won't see this until next week. Have a good time at home and get your studies done, and we will let you know what's going on next week. Thanks.